Good evening. Good evening, everybody. I'm so excited. This is Leadership Live with Dr. Renita and friends. And we are here for yet another week here in 2023 with amazingness. And for those of you all who have never ever seen Leadership Live, first of all, welcome. Second, just know that this is an experience. It's an experience. And really what it is the sharing of journeys. How we got from one place to another, what it took for us to get there, our leadership, internal leadership, external leadership, all the things. In 2019, I did this for 52 weeks by myself. In 2021, I had 49 guests in 54 guests in 48 weeks. 54 guests in 49 weeks. That's how it went in 2021. In 2022, we came back for 20 weeks of amazingness. And here we are back in 2023 for another season of Leadership Live. It amazes me every single day I think about it that we're in season 4 of Leadership Live. It's amazing. It's fabulous. And I got some more friends to bring to you. So for those of you all who missed the last 2 weeks, you missed amazingness, but guess what? You get to see her again. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her into the screen now. The amazing, the beautiful Dr. Dawn. And the crowd goes wild.
Hey, and Makita is here too. That's my
Makita. Hi, Makita.
How convenient. It's like I planned that, right? That's like, it's Makita. You go sit there. You're gonna come on Leadership Live with me.
I love her time.
That's my backup.
She's ready.
Yes. How are you doing today?
I am doing amazing, even more amazing because I'm back with you again. Yes. I cherish my Dr. Dawn time. I do.
Yes, ma'am. We are here.
Yes, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to step away and I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself or reintroduce yourself, as the song says, to the people. I love you. Here you go.
All right. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. The first thing I want to say is I am here because of my people, right? And when I think about who I am, I'm going to name some names for you. So my name is Dawn Hicks Tafari. I am the daughter of David Hicks Jr. and Diane Miller Hicks. I am the granddaughter of Joan Blocker Miller and Charles Miller. I am and Clara Barnett and David Higginbottom or David Hicks Sr. I am the great granddaughter of Narcissus and London Higginbottom, Woodson and Ada Cox, Jesse and James Campbell. I am the great granddaughter of Nancy Barnett and Anderson Thompson, Francis Cox and Richard Cox. I am the great granddaughter of Samuel and Matilda Barnett. I am the great granddaughter of Lucy and Foster. And I'm here because of all of them, because they lived, because they walked. I am my ancestors' wildest dream. I am a mother of 2 amazing daughters. I am the mother of 2 amazing fur babies, Makita and Socks. I am a associate professor in the Department of Ed at Winston-Salem State University. I'm a teacher because what else is there to do in this life? What better way to contribute to society than to teach? I'm one of the co-founders of the Greensboro Kwanzaa Collective because I believe strongly in the Nguzo Saba and the place that it has in our lives. I am on the steering committee for Black Girls and Women Matter Greensboro, one of the founding members of that steering committee. And I am here with you, and I'm a friend of Renita. I'm a friend. That's one of the best things about me. I'm a friend of Dr. Renita Leak-Webb. And so it's my honor to join you today. And I bring all of them. with me because they are my village. I am because they are. I am because they are. And I'm going to say it one more time. I am because they are. I am literally my ancestors' wildest dream. I own my own home. I own a car. I'm college educated. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from Hofstra University. I have a Master of Arts in Teaching from Johns Hopkins University. I have a post-bac certificate in Women's and Gender Studies from UNCG, University of North Carolina, Greensboro. And I have a Doctor of Philosophy, a Ph.D. in Cultural Studies, in Educational Studies with a concentration in Cultural Studies, University of North Carolina. I'm literally my ancestors' wildest dream. And so thank you so much for having me today.
Well, I am just so excited just to have you back and to be honored to be in the presence of all of your tribe that comes with you because of who you are, because you're sitting here in this seat. We get to have the advantage and the privilege of being in the presence of all of your lineage. And so that is so beautiful. And I love, one, that you introduced yourself that way. Two, that you can even know back that far.
It's taken a lot of work and research. I'm blessed to have, I'm blessed to be part of a village, right? So when there's several things that I've done to really connect my village and to do some of my genealogy work. One of the things is just asking questions, right? Asking my mother, my cousins, my father, my aunts, asking them who's who, right? I set up an ancestry account and start plugging in pieces that way. And you'll be surprised. Well, let me just say, I was very surprised at what some of my family members knew and how much of them had been doing this work and were so excited that I was interested in knowing who my people are. Like I have one aunt, my Aunt Deborah, who's amazing. She has, you want to see somebody's face? She got the picture. So she'll pull out oh man, baby, all you had to do was ask. Here you go, and this is your cousin so-and-so, and this is Aunt so-and-so and uncle. And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. This right here, my father gave this to me. Oh my God, I'm gonna try not to cry. This was my grandfather's measuring tape. He was a carpenter, and he worked for a Bellevue hospital as a engineer. We're gonna say he was an engineer. He was kind of working and fixing stuff and making sure it was great. And my father still has all of his tools. He died before I was born, 1971. And I love this. My father gave this to me one day, and on it's measuring tape. And on the tape, what's built in is it says, "Keep clean, lightly oiled." And I just feel like that's such a metaphor, right? Like, keep clean and lightly oiled. Like you don't want to oil too much, and you want to just keep yourself clean. You want to keep yourself honest and as pure as possible, but just a little bit of oil so you don't get too dry, and so that you can stay, so that you can stay effective, so you can be effective. And I think and so remembering, I keep this close to me. My grandpa's measuring tape and just some little things that from my family. But it's really nice to just, like I said, you'd be surprised at what happens when you just ask questions. When you just ask questions and you just show an interest. A lot of when we think of who we are as a people and as a society, is particularly as a generation, a lot of our elders don't see our concern or our interest, so they don't bother, because they're not interested. They just interested in the internet and the Facebooks and the TikToks and they see us on that stuff and they don't think we're interested, and so they don't bother us. And what's not going to happen on my watch is for all of this amazing information to die. Right. I'm going to keep it going. And so that's one of the first things as far as being a part of a village, is being a part of a village. You can't expect to have a village if you're not perpetuating village mentality, right? And it goes, It's not just here, it also goes up and back. right? We got to know our people. We got to know what names to call. We have to know whether or not we're more like our grandmother or our great grandmother, you know.
Right.
So those kind of things. Oh, girl, you Ada's baby. Woo, you know. Ooh, you was Ada's baby. And I don't know Ada that well, but it was nice to know that I'm Ada's baby, you know, by
Right.
an extended cousin. Woo, child, you Ada's baby. Mm-hmm.
But you know what? And that's so real.
Mm-hmm.
Two, so amazing. So I think, you know, my great grandmother's name on my mother's side was Beulah. And I met Beulah as a young child. She passed when I was young, but I definitely knew her, and I definitely had Beulah experiences. And not all of my cousins have Beulah experiences because some of them came after she passed. But the original 6 of us, and we call ourselves the original 6. We have very vivid Beulah memories. And sometimes when people get a little feisty, it's like, look, and my mother, and it's so funny. So we call my mother and her sisters the Ancient 4, and we're the original 6. You know, they've gotten past the Ancient 4. They tried to change it, but it is what it is.
It's what it is.
But you know, whenever somebody's acting out of pocket or extra sassy or giving somebody the where to 4, they say, Beulah lives. Beulah lives. Beulah was, she was spicy. She was feisty. She was also of a generation where she was very colorist. And so those of us who are darker hued, we had a different kind of time with Beulah. But whenever somebody is going there, Beulah lives.
Beulah lives. And I think I love that you all love her beyond that, right? Like you love her beyond, unless she's your family, so you gotta love her, right? But there's no judgment, because what I think we forget a lot of times, it's like when, sorry, Makita's shaking. It's like when people say, "Oh, I ain't my ancestors. I catch these hands," and it's like we forget that our ancestors lived in a different time,
right?
They lived in a different time, so they had to be. There were reasons why they were the way they were. And so you can't judge someone who lived 100 years before you in a whole different society that you know nothing about. You know nothing about, right? That's an important part of being in a village, and especially in leading a village is being humble, being humble in the knowledge, right? I didn't know. I have no idea. You have no idea what it was like to grow up when Beulah was growing up.
Right.
No idea. Beulah had to be the way she was so that she could survive. Beulah had to be Beulah so that Renita could live.
Exactly. I mean, I think that's a big piece that some people get kind of disrespectful to ancestors, forgetting that, yeah, we may not be our ancestors, because I am not. I've not lived in their time, but my ancestors lived long enough so there could be a me, so that they could have a lineage. They lived and did what they had to do so that they could have a lineage and have a legacy. So no, I am not my ancestors. I don't know how I could have survived then, but I also didn't have to live then. My assignment is to be here now. And because I am here now, the question is, what am I to do with my assignment so that my lineage can continue, so that my legacy can continue, so I can eventually become one day my ancestors, or ancestor to my lineage, for somebody to speak my name in the future. And it be because I am their grandmother, I am their great grandmother, I am their great 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 grandmama, as the poet says. That's one of my favorite poems. Right? The Black poem. But you know, even to know the fact being that we are a part of a village with a large part of it full of people or ancestors that we do not know. We are just like our great 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 grandmama, but we don't even know who she is. To think about village in that way, and to know that we are representing people who we may never know of because of our history in this country, or just our history wherever we are, because African Americans, Afro-Latinos, Afro-Europeans, clearly we're not the only people who were stripped of part of our history because of things that have happened in our historical context. But we are still their wildest dreams. Right. We are still doing things they didn't even have a clue that they would ever have the ability to do. And they're doing it through us. We are their village. And because we live, because we do, they are too.
Do you think Beulah ever imagined that you would have a PhD?
Oh,
you think
absolutely.
Beulah ever imagined not just you going to college, graduating from high school, going to college, having graduate degrees? Right. You think she ever imagined that you would have a child that is he a college grad now? Did he graduate already?
He's a college graduate. Mm-hmm.
Like, come on. Like, come on. Like, she just wanted to live so you can live. I hope my baby know how to make good biscuits so she can feed her man. Like, I just want her to survive. I just want her to survive and
especially with her belief with the colorist system. Like, okay, so she's a little dark brown baby on top of that. So one, she got to be tough. Two, let's hope she makes it to anything. Her hope for most of us was that we would become educators. That was her biggest thing. If you could become a teacher, there was one thing I said I would never do. I was never going to teach. And I ended up becoming an educator and, striving and thriving in the educational realm. But, that was, big time for her.
Right.
So for us to have fulfilled that, unknowing, even not planning to fulfill that, has been amazing.
Right. Everything is in divine order.
Oh, absolutely.
It all lines up. Everything is in divine order. It's always going to be as it. You had to do other things. I never thought I would be a teacher either. I'm like, they don't make no money. I'm trying to live out here. So I'm going to be a corporate attorney, put bad guys in jail.
And look at us now.
I ain't seen no parts of a law school.
Honey, now I saw the outside of one.
Right. The outside. Oh, that's law. That's how pretty. Yeah, that's real nice. Okay, let's go over here.
Right. At one point in time, I wanted to be a dentist, and then I wanted to be a lawyer. Then I wanted to be an architect, and then I wanted to be on Broadway.
I think we should still live out these Broadway dreams of both. I'm here with you.
Let's go. I know if we go up there, we have a place to stay. I can stay with Dawn's people.
Yeah. We're going to change the name of the show from Leadership Live to Broadway Live.
Here for it. We're going to lead on Broadway. It'll be a different type of leadership. Hello, Broadway. Yeah.
Okay.
I love when I have friends who are with me and on the same page in multiple areas of my life.
Multiple, absolutely.
But in thinking about that, I also think about, okay, so it's good to have friends who are on page with you, but it's also good to have a village of people who not only understand your page, but also understand their own pages, even though it may not be the exact same page, but there are certain things that align. So I have friends who are my educator friends, and we are all educators and we love education. Then I have friends who are my PhD friends, my diva sisters. We are all on the same page, when it comes to attaining that degree, even if it's not in education, just attaining that doctoral degree. Then I have people who are my dancer friends, and we're dancers because we dance is what we do. Then I have my friends who are just my home people. We're all from the same city, or we went to either elementary, middle, or high school together because I have kept friends from each level, and they are all my village folk. We are church friends from different churches because, of course, as I've gotten older, we, been to church, but we also have our home church people. Like I saw them today, and it's just these different village people. Some of my family, because I'm going to be real honest on here. All of my family is not a part of my village.
Absolutely.
Not my active village. Like they may be a part of my genealogy, but they're not all a part of my village. And that's okay, because I'm honest about that, because I am also protective around who gets to be in my village. It's a privilege, not a right.
Word.
But you have all of these different pockets of people who at some place in your story, they've been on page with you, and they are still on that page, because if they're still in your village, then they're still a part of your story. When you're leading your village or leading within your village, because I think village tribal members have different places to lead. What is your superpower in your village?
Ooh, what is my superpower within my village? My superpower is Kuji Chagolia. Kuji Chagolia means self-determination. So it's the second principle of the Nguzo Saba. And what self-determination is it's self-love in an essence. It's seeing myself in the mirror and loving and appreciating the things that I see, whether it's this little wide nose I got, or these full lips, or this kinky hair, right? And every curve and angle I have. That's Kuji Chagolia. It's loving and honoring Ada and Woodson and Nancy and Anderson and London and Narcissus and Joan and Charles and Panola and Jesse and James and Matilda and Stu and Samuel and Lucy and Foster. It's honoring all of them and loving them for who they are and how they existed and what they had to navigate so that I could be. And I think that that's a really important part of a really important superpower to have, because not everybody has that, right? And I think that's okay, right? That everybody is not as everybody. I know some amazing people, right, who are in my village who can't necessarily go back to their great grandparents. It doesn't make them less human. It doesn't make them less amazing. Right. It does not. I know some really amazing people who like, oh, I just can't go back that far. Whatever, but they have another superpower, right? So that's mine. I think in this deep love for who I am, for how I navigate society, for who I am culturally, genetically, chronologically, geographically, right? Being from the Bronx, I'm from the Bronx, the boogie down. I think that's all an important part of who I am. Being from the Bronx, being raised in Edenwald projects is an important part of how I have learned to navigate adversity in this life and a part of my survival story. Who I am academically is a part of who I am, and all of that is my Kuji Chagolia. So how the love that I have for who I am and how I am and where and how I enter spaces is definitely my superpower, because it then positions me within the village as one of, or the person who continues to work to find peace within the village. Right. I'm constantly, I think I shared before that I saw this thing on Facebook, and it was a student and the master. And it's the student says, but master, what about the others? Mm-hmm. And the master says, there are no others. And that concept, like there are no others. You and I are one. What's going to be good for me is going to be good for you, because what's good for you is what's good for me. So it's not selfishness, right? It's actually selflessness, because I'm trying to make sure that everyone is okay and that everyone is good. And I think that's a large part of who and how I am, because then that fuels, that's the springboard. That's my springboard. From there, that's where I jump off and do all the things that I do and love to do. Navigating, whether it's teaching and educating. Education is well, like I like to say, the ultimate act of Ujima. Ujima means collective work and responsibility, mm-hmm. right? If what I have up here has to be shared, like for me to have knowledge and just keep it, like really, dog, you're that selfish? Like so this part of not just having knowledge to share, but then to be actively engaged in the process of sharing and engaging others and being a part of the educative process in a way that I'm not just standing up teaching you because I know everything, but that I am involved in an exchange of knowledge. Mm-hmm. This is an incredible exchange. And so in that superpower, that what's the word I'm looking for? Subsidiary superpower. Mm-hmm. comes as a result of this original, this Kuji Chagolia, this self-determination, this self-love, this love for who I am as a human, who I am as a cultural being, as a raced and gendered person, you know, as a romantic person, as a sexual being, as a parent, as a friend, as an educator, all of those things. That I think is my superpower. Coochie Jacquelia.
Hello.
Coochie Jacquelia girl.
Dun, dun, dun. I love it. And I will say, I think it is a result, or maybe another subsidiary superpower you have because of your Coochie Jacquelia. It is, you are determined to ask the questions to help other people find their Coochie Jacquelia.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've definitely experienced with you, and I value so much as having you as a part of my village, is that you will ask me the question. I'll tell you something and then you'll ask me the questions. Well, why? And what were you thinking there? And why didn't you this? And what's holding you back from that? And I mean, you will rattle questions. And it's because you are determined to help me find my own possibilities for determination, right?
Absolutely.
So it is beyond just, Renita, you need to be self-determined. Coochie Jacquelia to you. Here's a gift. No, it is.
Right.
It is. Okay, answer these questions. I'm asking you these questions for you. I'm not asking you these questions for me. I'm asking you these questions for you to help you see your own self-determination, to nurture your self-determination, because then it grows. Once you can answer these questions and you get the answers for yourself. I'm not asking you this question for me. I'm asking you this question for you because you haven't asked yourself that, or you haven't answered this question for yourself, or you answered the question in a negative way when you didn't have to, because sometimes we give ourselves very negative self-talk, but we're not going to hand that to somebody else. And as a leader in the village, you are taking on the responsibility of getting me to answer a question in an affirmative enough way that I am determined for myself to do this thing, which will in turn benefit my village.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that is so incredible and so magical, if you will, because if the questions are never asked, they never get answered. And if the questions are only answered in a negative way or through a negative lens, then you hinder the entire village.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. How are we keeping the village afloat?
Right.
Right. It's everybody's responsibility to make sure that the villages, right? To make sure that the village stays and thrives, not just survives, but thrives. It's everybody's responsibility. And one of those important things is respecting other people's style, right? Respecting everybody else's way of being. Respect, right? Respecting it, everybody else's way of being. And so and then pushing, right? But pushing, like you said, with love and saying, well, let's ask ourselves these questions, right? Who am I? Am I who I say I am? Am I all I ought to be? Like we should be asking ourselves those questions, and I don't owe you my answer. I owe me my answer.
Yes.
Right? Like you said, that's a question for me to sit down and have a conversation to have with Dawn. Like, okay, this is who I am, but am I who I say I am? Well, you just said that. Are you doing that? Because in the mirror I just looked in, I didn't see you doing what you said you was doing. So we need to make some adjustments. Right. I'm my biggest competition. And that's because it's for my village.
Right.
Though it's for my village. I want to be the very best me that I can be so that I can be a part of a thriving village, so that I can lead my village, so that I can see it be great. Right. I want my village to be great. Absolutely.
Yeah. So in thinking along those lines and the desire for your village to be great, when you ask questions, you help to nurture self-determination by not only being self-determined yourself, by asking the questions to help other people become. And then I think about like the griots, they tell the stories, like they are our storytellers, and they keep this oral history alive so that we will understand not only the names of those who came before, but the stories that came before with them. There are so many members of the villages that are needed. Like I don't need a bunch of me's, because if there's a bunch of me's, then we're not gonna get anywhere, because we're gonna all be doing the same thing. We need somebody to be doing something else. How do you go about the admission process for your village?
Wow. Let's see. I charge $15.99 at the door. $13.99 in advance. I'm kidding. There's an admission price. You know, it happens really organically, I think. And I think that's one of the most important things, is that it happened organically and it happened authentically. So in the interactions that we have, I'm looking for how we follow through, right? So, I mean, let's use us as an example, right? I know the people out there, y'all tired of hearing about how much we love each other, but y'all want to hear it again. God darn it. So, right, when we first met, we were like, OMG, this is my new best friend. She's awesome, right? Oh my gosh, she's amazing. And we became fast friends. And then I think we were in class, and I don't think we really like exchanged personal contact information, and class was over and you went this way and you became, I think you took over the charter school or something. And I went on to, I think I finished that doc program. You know, we both just went our separate ways and had this faint love, but hadn't heard from each other in years. And this is even before the Book of Faces, right? Right. And then we saw each other in that movie theater. Mm-hmm. And we both were like, what you been up to? Oh my God, it's so nice to see you all these years. And it was as if that time had never passed. Mm-hmm. And at that point, we made sure to exchange contact information. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. Let's stay in touch. And we've been in touch still. So it's the persistence, right? It's the persistence. It's the mutual persistence. Because if I had said, oh my God, it's so great to see you, and you were like, yeah, how are you? Yeah, here's my number, 555.
I love it.
777-9311. You know, but it was the mutual desire for us to be in each other's lives. It was the mutual respect for who we are as individual human beings and the roles that we play in society and the roles we play in our families. And it was that, well, those two things, right? The mutual respect and the mutual desire to maintain contact. And I think that's the initial thing, right? So you've got to love me as much as I love you. You've got to respect me as much as I respect you. And then, of course, you've got to bring something to the table, because that respect is coming from what are you bringing? I lost a Facebook friend some years ago. I'm gonna keep this back, because I created a post about utility value, and I talked about how my friends have utility value, and she didn't like that. She felt like I was, whatever she felt. But when we think about it, the people who we have in our lives have utility value. There are certain people who you call when you are feeling sad and you need to vent. Like, listen, I got to get this off my chest, and so is going to fight with me. If I got to go bust some tires, I'm going to call this person. If I just want to cry and somebody to tell me how amazing I am, I'm going to call this person. If I need to laugh, I'm going to call this person. And if I want to just go out, we're going to put on our cutest dresses and we're going to dance the night away, I'm going to call that person. We all have those different people. Very rarely is it the same person who does all of those things, right? And that's utility value. That's utility value. Everybody has a value. We all have a value. There's nothing wrong with thinking of it like that, logistically like that. We all have a value. And so just that, and that value is mutual, right? I'm in certain people's village because of the value I bring, and that value looks different, right? Only the individual people can determine, right, what that is. And so I think that's a large part of the village, my village admission, so to speak, is what are you bringing to life? What are you bringing to the situation? Because I think every human is valuable, right? Every human has value. But what are you bringing? Like you said, what's the value you're bringing to this village? Because this is what this village is about, right? What are you bringing to this? And I'm very staunch cultural focus, right? So I like people who know who they are, who have some sense of kuchichagulia, who have a strong locus of control, right? Who they understand, they have a self-awareness, a sense of self-awareness and emotional intelligence. They love freely and openly. They're compassionate. They're social justice minded, right? I don't have it. There's no bigots in my village. I ain't got the space. I got the we full. We full. Few village, we full. Sorry. Dang. Oh snap. Yeah. Makita said no. Yeah. No. No space. So there's certain, there's certain qualities that I'm looking for in people who I choose to be around. And it's like I always think about my Facebook page, right? As old folk we saw on Facebook. The young student, my college students laugh at me when I talk about Facebook. They be like, yeah, have fun with that. Yeah. So I always say my Facebook page is my queendom, right? And so if there's some foolishness, if you post in foolishness, I'm going to unfollow or I'm going to block you or I'm going to unfriend you. I don't want to see foolishness. You get excommunicated from my queendom if you about foolishness. The people whose threads I want to see are people who are about similar and similarly positive things, right? And I'm not saying you got to always be, because you're going to have bad days. That's not, I'm not looking for some fake, cheery, 100% sunshine every day. I'm looking for people who value their own humanity, who value other people's humanity, right? And like I said, are social justice minded. And I think we all do. We all approach social justice in different ways. And that's a really important part of the village.